Hi everyone, it's Ty Carr coming to you here from TCAA headquarters in Portland, Oregon. Today I'm going to be talking about the income tax benefits in the newly passed legislation. If you haven't heard yet, the next round of stimulus was just passed here in this last week of December. There are several legislative acts that roll into what is officially called the Consolidated Appropriation Act of 2021, or CAA 2021. I'll just be calling it here the Act. There are multiple benefits for businesses in the Act, from another round of the Paycheck Protection Program, what some are calling PPP2, to payroll tax benefits. But what I'm going to be talking about are the income tax benefits. There are actually 9 different income tax items in the Act, but I'm going to be discussing here what I see as the top 3 income tax benefits for the purpose of this video. Those 3 that I'm going to be hitting on are the tax deductibility of expenses paid with PPP proceeds, the tax treatment of EIDL grants, which during 2020 were generally $10,000, and the tax deductibility of meals provided by restaurants in 2021 and 2022. Let's start with the expenses paid with PPP proceeds. So this has been a hot topic since the Treasury pointed out shortly after the enactment of the original PPP program that federal tax law generally doesn't allow deductions for expenses that are paid with tax-exempt income. Paycheck Protection Program loans issued by the Small Business Administration are forgivable if the borrowing business meets certain criteria, which includes using the proceeds to cover eligible expenses. Those eligible expenses, like payroll, rent, and utilities, would in other circumstances be tax deductible. When the program was created under the CARES Act, the income that results from having a loan forgiven, which means you receive cash, but you don't have to repay it, that forgiveness of debt income was specifically excluded from being taxable. However, under long-standing income tax principles, when income is exempt from taxes, the expenses related to that income are generally not tax deductible. This idea that the expenses paid by the PPP proceeds would not be tax deductible diminished what many expected the full benefit of the PPP program to be. Fortunately, this has been corrected with the new Act. The Act clarifies that taxpayers with PPP loans forgiven can in fact deduct the otherwise allowable expenses. And for my fellow tax nerds, tax basis and attributes will not be reduced by loan forgiveness. Okay, here's the second of my top 3 income tax benefits from this Act: the tax treatment of EIDL grants. Separate from the PPP, many small businesses received an Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL, grant from the SBA, generally in the amount of $10,000. This grant was considered an advance on what could have been a larger EIDL loan. However, the grant portion was designed to not require repayment. So, similar to the PPP, this Act clarifies that these EIDL grants, along with other forgiveness of EIDL loans or certain loan repayment assistance, is also not taxable income. Also, similar to PPP, if the expenses paid with the EIDL loan proceeds are tax deductible, or they would have otherwise been tax deductible, then they're still tax deductible. And again, for my fellow tax nerds, this forgiveness also does not reduce tax basis and attributes. Okay, my third income tax benefit from this Act: business meals provided by restaurants are 100% tax deductible in 2021 and 2022. This is one of the more famous tax rules in business, the 50% limit on deducting food and beverage expenses associated with operating a trade or business. To deduct any amount, the expense must be considered ordinary and necessary for the business, and that's not changing. The traditional 50% limit included meal expenses related to employees traveling for work. So what's new here is that the Act eliminates the 50% limit for food and beverages, including the travel scenario, if they're provided by a restaurant during 2021 and 2022, making those meals 100% deductible. Well, that's it. Those are my top 3 income tax benefits from the Act. There is definitely more in this act for businesses beyond income tax benefits, including a second draw of PPP funds and an expansion of the employee retention credit. To find more content for growth business leaders and accountants, check out Ty Carr Advisory on YouTube, LinkedIn, or our website, tycar.com. Stay healthy and happy, and we'll see you all later.